We've been waiting for this moment. Generations of innovation all coming together in one place. The pedigree of more than 70 years of NASCAR Cup Series history, from the past to the present, from Petty to Earnhardt to Elliott. Today, there's no more waiting. The future of NASCAR is now. Drive the next-gen cars today on iRacing and step into the next generation of racing.
Welcome to European E-Racing and the third round of the European E-Racing League. Today we're racing at the Jewel of the Desert, Phoenix Raceway, located in Avondale, just outside of Phoenix in Arizona. This track hosts two races of the NASCAR Cup Series, one of which is the final race of the season. It's a quite special track we're racing today. This design is unique due to the dogleg in the second corner, where you can go all the way down to the inside wall, but also because you have a track that doesn't have its start and finish line on the tri-oval, but instead they're having it on the straightest part of the track. I'm Jonas Forss, and with me from Eason Studios in Stockholm I have Alexander Bengtsson as producer. And in a while we will hand over to our eminent team from RaceSpot that will provide the in-sim pictures and casting. And the RaceSpot team is built of the tech director Tyler Maxson, and the announcers Stefan and Lorenzo will take care of you in a while. But first, let's take a lap around Phoenix Raceway. We're running with Erik Lundberg from Street Trans Sim Racing, a team that we might see in the future in the EL. Crossing the 3-degree banked start-finish line and going narrow into the 10-degree bank turn 1 in a defensive line to not let Andreas Selander behind by. And then he will dive down the dogleg to make a shorter line and keep the car low into 3 and 4 to complete the pass on the inside of number 111. And yeah, you can see him hugging the yellow line all the way through. And a single line for this lap from Erik. In 1 and 2, he doesn't change the line too much, actually. He could have taken a higher line before turn-in these two corners. Diving down the dogleg again. You can see you can go everywhere you want on this track. And letting the car out to the wall a little bit more, and entering the corner between corner 3 and 4. Progressive bank 3 and 4 corner, from 10 to 11 degrees banking in these corners. So you can choose a little bit higher line there if you want to save a little bit more of the tires. So right now our guys are out during a practice session, and then they will have a 2-lap qualifying for 5 minutes, and then we will have 108 laps of racing in front of us. This track is quite, let's say, technical on this schedule. I think Richmond is the only track on the schedule that we're racing this season that will be more complicated. Pocono, which will be in about 4 weeks, is also kind of tricky. It's called the Tricky Triangle of that reason, but amazing track to race tonight. We will have a tire window of about 40 laps before the right front will wear out. Our guys will race with 4 sets of tires in total, and a fuel window of 80 laps. So when you pit, you will pit for tires, not for fuel. And that's about it from here, but let's check how the standings are in the series right now. Cyril Nussbaum is our leader from France with 267 points. Eric Blixt from Sweden, Alcantech NHR by Neiman Racing, is our second placer. It only differs 4 points between these two guys. And there's Germany with 81 points in the Nations Cup, but let's go back and look at our driver standings. Dominik Lukamski from Poland is in third place right now with 235 points. In the 4th place we have Linus Broström from Sweden for 4C Sports in 226 points. Marcus Hagman 5th, also from Sweden and 4C Sports, but from the Academy team, 199 points, just 1 point before, ahead of Norbert Leitner from Hungary on the 6th position for Wannabe SRT Yellow. Daniel Solo on 7th position from Sweden, Alcantech NHR by Neiman Racing with 195 points, followed by, on the 8th position, Kevin Adam from Spain, 194 points. Gabriel Sturr from Switzerland, Rising Star Motorsports, 189 points right now. And then we have Andrew Rose from Hungary also, wannabe SRT Black, in 188 points. And that rounds up our top 10 in the Drivers' Championship right now. And here you have the rest of their guys racing in this series. And we will soon talk a little bit more about the point system, but first we'll look at the Team's Championship. Alkentech NHR by Niemann Racing is leading the European E-Racing League right now. They've had an amazing start of this season, followed by Force Esports on second with 403 points, and wannabe SRT Black on third position with 335 points. Acolytes on fourth with 308, and these four teams rounds up the teams that have gathered over 300 points. And the system works like this: you have 3 drivers per team, and the 2 best finishing drivers are collecting points in the team's championship over the 8 races. We don't count any drop weeks in the team's championship. And the winner gathers 150 points, the second place gathers 135, and 125 to the third, and 118 to the fourth finishing driver. And from fifth position, which gives you 112 points, the points are about 5 points per place from that. But also, we are... our drivers are competing for some nice prizes here from Logitech and Cooler Master. Cooler Master gives out to the winner a water cooling system and the Master Fan MF120 Halo. Logitech is giving out the Pro Series gaming headset and the Pro Series gaming mouse and the cloth gaming mouse pad to the winner. For the second place, you will win a Master Box 540 from Cooler Master. And a Pro Series gaming headset from Logitech. The third place will win a Pro Series gaming mouse from Logitech and a Master Air MA624 Stealth, and the fourth and fifth place will earn a double M 730 gaming mouse from Cooler Master. And that's what we're competing about, and also we're competing about €1,000 from Eason Studio in prize money that will be distributed over the top 10 finishing drivers. So a lot to race about here in the European E-Racing Series, the first season of this league. We will be back in the studio after a short little message from our partners. we're back in the studio, and in a couple of minutes we will hand over to our friends at Racebot. But first, let's take a look at the roster. Can we see the Drivers' Championship once again here? Yeah, there's a couple of drivers that I want you guys to look a little bit closer at during the practice session right now. Kevin Adam and Linus Broström are in the top 5 right now, together with Norbert Leitner, that are 5th currently on this page of the Drivers' Championship. But let's look at the 11 to 20 position. Right now, Oystein Walsh is the fastest drivers on the track right now. He didn't race at Nashville. He won our premiere at Michigan, and I think that this will be our winner tonight, just because of the speed he has. But Alexander Arielson from Force Esports is just 0.02 of a second slower on the practice right now, so anything can happen between those two drivers. And we have about 10 drivers, the top 10 within 1/10 of a second on the fastest lap. But as we have talked about today, we only have 4 sets of tires. The tires will survive for 40 laps, so those who can take care of their tires will probably be the most successful guys tonight. Looking good for Alcantech right now, but also for Force Esports, as Linus Broström climbs up to 3rd in the standings right now. So, amazing race in front of us, and we will... I just got a question in the chat here from TBR, and he says, "All alone today, Jonas?" Not really. We're we are a lot of guys here, but I'm alone here in the studio. But with that being said, I want to see some racing, and let's hand over to our friends at Racebot.
Well, last week we saw the concretes of Nashville. Today we are back on the asphalt ovals. It's Phoenix, it's oval racing, and Lorenzo, I don't think it can go much better than being under the lights of Phoenix.
No, absolutely not, Stefan. A hard track to manage tires can get really tricky within the first few laps. But of course, we're seeing the previous iteration of the Phoenix track, or ISM Raceway, because now the start-finish line is just after turn 2 before they go into the dogleg. But it will provide a very interesting race for us to break down, nevertheless, for 180 laps.
Yeah, 180 laps. Tires are expected to last somewhere around 45 to 50 laps. So, as Jonas Voss already told us, we most definitely are in for a tire race here today. It's a little bit of a different approach these drivers most definitely will have to take because of that, but also because of the rules that have been altered a little bit, because we do have an asphalt oval all around, even on the apron. The apron, even though it is heavily off-cambered, is fair game.
Yeah, it is fair game for you to use the apron, just like real life and kind of like some of the official series that we run on in iRacing. So everything is fair game. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy to overtake those, Stefan. It just allows you to kind of like build an extra lane. You can go 3 wide depending on circumstances on the dogleg if you actually allow it.
Yeah, the only real track limit that they have out there today is to stay right off the blue cone. That is the only track limit pretty much that they have while on the racing surface. So it is going to be interesting. And we have already seen the tires to drop off at around 20 laps. So that is the crucial mark. And as you can see right there, turn 40 exit. That grip. It goes all the way to the inside of the inside wall, and Lorenzo, I think this will be our main talking point. The understeer that we're gonna get out of turn 2 and the oversteer these guys will most definitely have to cope with out of turn 4.
Yeah, and it's so hard to control. You can even see one of the cars skidding. I think that was Gabriel Stoll right there. That kind of like skidded off in turn number 4. It is so easy, especially with some heavy draft. If you are within a heavy pack of cars, but in the start of the race, we might see some cars understeering, especially with the cold tires. But it's, again, tire race over here. So the one thing you really don't want to be, even though it allows it, is be aggressive within the first few laps of your tire life.
Yeah, and because of how short this season also is, only 8 races, and we're already on the 3rd one, these guys will most definitely have to make it count, as we just saw the 13 there spinning out. That was Daniel Solo out of turn 2, one of the first spins I've seen out of turn 2, so that's also very interesting. But yeah, most definitely the racing will be on. The racing will be on for 180 laps. By the way, there was also a little bit of discussion about maybe giving these drivers a 5th set of tires, but the vote by the drivers themselves got rejected by a 7 to 8 vote, so they will have to continue to race with only 4 sets of tires.
And it does matter, this kind of a strategy over here, especially now that you have one tire less than proposal. That now you see Ocean Walsh with the fastest lap in practice so far. It's going to be an interesting one because you want to have at least one set of tires to go at the latter portion of the race, like the final 30 laps, where the grip matters the most. You want to move up in the feud, but if you had that 5th set, it could have worked wonders, and you can try some different things in the cars. But without that, it's basically try to hit your marks every 40 laps of sorts, so you can make with considerable grip to the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly. So with about 1.5 minutes to go, Oystein Walsh in that 37, still your leader here in the practice session as the sun continues to set over the desert. It is interesting. Oystein Walsh, he won the first race, missed the second one, is back for the third one, and once again he is showing his pace on the oval right now. Alitson only 0.021 of a second behind him, so at least in practice it seems like the race for the point of the field will most definitely out, with the top 10 being covered by just the 10th.
Yeah, it's close all around the track, and Oystein will show you why he's probably one of the most decorated European drivers in sim racing. You know, a very highly technical driver, especially with the Indy cars. Of course, he's not driving an Indy car; he's driving a NASCAR over here, which is way heavier, have a little bit of less downforce, and have more brute horsepower than an Indy car. So it changes a little bit these kind of grooves, but nevertheless, very talented driver. Should be the guy we should be looking for to win this race. But then again, every driver over here has an equal chance of winning it because they're so close to one another.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously we also will have to see how the tires will hold up for Walsh during the race as well. By the way, to finish all of that off, you can go about 55 or so laps until your tires blow up. So there is a little bit of gamesmanship that you can play with, staying out long on the first stint so that you have a shorter last stint on your tires. But obviously, as we have been talking already for quite some time now, this race will be decided by the tire strategy, not by the fuel strategy. So with practice now finally done, let's see who is going to be the first one to set a time. And it is most definitely going to be extremely crucial pole position here at the ISM Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona, because just of how difficult, especially in the later part of your run, it can be to overtake someone.
Yeah, in that latter portion, it becomes like who has better tires to go maybe at the final 15 laps of descent, I could say, like that, as we see turn number 1 being taken. Kind of like a very tight line going to turn number 1 here, Stefan. Then you have to open up the best you can to the outside and just go and dive deep into the dog leg. Let's see what Gunnarsson laps is going to be. But yeah, again, tires matter, but position matters here the most. If you really want to be top 10, I think you're good.
Erik Lundberg with the first fastest lap right now, 27.229, as Jonas Gunnarsson puts in a 27.253. So you can already see how close these times are. Just the first runs out there. Eric Blix, I think it was, oh no, sorry, I think it was Anders Selander who had a sort of spin in his first outing. That's why his first lap is 2 seconds off the pace right now. As Arlidsson goes to the point of the field in his 24, about a tenth ahead of Lundberg, but still a lot of times are missing.
Yeah, now we see Ocean Walsh about to do
spins!
his first lap. Oh, no, that's not what you want to do, Ocean.
He hits it. And that is disaster for Ocean Walsh, because that was his first lap out, so he has only just 1 lap now in reality to make his qualifying counted. As we know, in oval fixed racing, like this league is, they use the fixed baseline, by the way. The second lap is really where your speed counts.
Yeah, it does. The first one, you kind of like build up heat and speed, and especially you see drivers taking that high line usually more than anything whenever they launch into turn number 1 and try to build up the steam going to lap number 2, as we see Tony Oivinen right there about to wrap up his first lap. So he's about to open up his first fast lap right here, as first lap is a 27.489 for the 84 car.
Yeah, and even that lap that we saw from Ocean Walsh, that near spin with the wall hit, there we go, that was already a second lap, so Ocean Walsh is gonna start from the back of the grid. So that's already huge news in that kind of sense, as Stör goes up to the second place outside of row number 2. As Linus Broström is now gonna complete his lap, right now sitting in 4th place, the 71. Can he improve? Only it's gonna take 2/1000 of a second, and seems like that was a no-go for Linus Broström.
Yeah, unfortunate to see our fellow race spot commentator not being able to get that lap that probably wanted, but as I think everybody took to the track, I think we can start to take a look on our grids in a little bit.
Yeah, in a very deed, it seems like that the guys that still owe us a time all have had problems in their qualifying runs. And actually, Ike David, Norbert Leitner, and Jake Forster could still go out there, but with less than a minute to go, 45 seconds to be precise, it seems unlikely that they will do exactly that.
And then for those who haven't taken, actually, for those who don't know, it's the gritty for those who have not taken a lap or not being able to take a lap. It's kind of like divided by the I rating. So from the looks of it, it looks like that Ocean will be the first car in this 18 car field that we have. Then it's gonna be just who gets the highest I rating, and then the lowest I rated car stays all the way down in the back.
Yeah, so just like in official racing, also for league racing, the rest of the grid, as I said, will be decided by the I rating. So with the checker flag out now officially in the qualifying session, let's have a look at the starting grid for this race here today at the ISM Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona. Alexander Arlidsson is going to start your race in the 24. Alongside him will be the Swiss of Gabriel Stör. Marcus Hagman will be starting in 3rd place alongside Linus Broström. Erik Lundberg will round out your top 5 in qualifying, with Eric Blix lining up alongside him in 6th place. Starting out the 4th row, that will be the 33 of Jonas Gunnarsson. Alongside him, Robert Elling in the number 82 of Force Esports Academy. Daniel Solo starting in the 9 in the 13. Alongside him, rounding out your top 10 of this field, Tony Uvenen in the 84. 11th place is the 74 of Dominik Lukomski, there we go, with Martin C. Capel rounding out the top 12, and that is also the second last car to qualify. Andre Selander in 13th will be your last car that has taken the qualifying. Ocean Walsh, big news right there, 14th place for him as he invalidated both of his qualifying laps, with Kevin Adam rounding out the top 15. Norbert Leitner starting in 16th, Eke David and Jake Forster will round out your 18-car field here today. Lorenzo, give us an outlook on the first about 15 laps of this race.
It's going to be an interesting one. I think it will be more of a chess battle. We shouldn't be able to see way too many moves up in the field. I think it's going to be more stacked of who gets to be more conservative with the tires, looking for that long stint whenever they come down into pit lane, maybe 45 laps, maybe 50. So again, tire race, it is going to be key to try to move up in the field as fast as possible. But then again, you have to play with your brain because you have 18 cars, not a big grid. Because you don't have the big grid, you have to be very mindful of that long stint the entire time.
So we will now have 2 pace laps around the ISM Raceway to look at the beautiful next-gen cars. Most definitely will be an interesting start to the race because of how crucial the grip is in the first laps. Yeah, it's going to be kind of really showing what kind of race these guys are going to do, because if somebody starts out aggressive, they will continue to be aggressive for the entire race because they will just have to exactly do that. But obviously that will hurt them in the long run. So yeah, just look out, wait and see on how this race is really going to develop, because we can talk all we want, but the real talking is going to be made on the track, and it is going to be made in just a few moments time as they make their way through the dogleg a second time. The pace truck soon will be heading into the safety of the pit lane, and then we will have the very nice roar under the lights here at Phoenix. So with Alexander Arlidsson soon gonna be giving the control over the field, the pace truck heads into pit lane. When will Alexander go? The 24 waiting, now he goes. Green flag is out here at the ISM Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona, and immediately able to defend his first place from the 16 on the outside. Gabriel Stör, a little bit wobbly there out of turn number 2, cuts to the inside as well to defend the run from Marcus Hagman, and immediately into single file the top 6 go.
Yeah, immediately into the top 6 go. I can see 2-1 and kind of like 5 in the 5th row for P10 at the current moment. I think that is Daniel Solo. That is one of the top 2, not top 2, but in 2-row grids. And right ahead of him is Erik Lundberg and Jonas Gunnarsson as well. On the outside of Solo is Robert Erling. But a really clean start. The problem is that the inside line got checked up at the start in the way back, and that clusters some of the cars in the back, especially in the bottom 4 places.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, very big interesting point here will also be how fast can Eracing Walsh go through the field, as there's now even 3 wide through turn 1. A little bit of door banging as well between 74 and the 81. I think that was 82. Sorry, Robert Erling that was. So already starting to see aggressive moves in the midfield. Didn't really expect that another 3 wide with Eracing Walsh to the inside. 74 door bangs with both cars, and that is gonna make him lose another position. Aggressive start already by that 74.
Yeah, Lunkowski getting a little bit more aggressive than I anticipated at the start of the race, going 3 wide. Door banged Robert Erling on the outside, but managed to get away clean. But this one nearly could have been disastrous for Eracing Walsh, Lunkowski, and also the driver out of the 64, which is Martin Kapal. But now all of themselves falling into one row whatsoever, and I hope it stays like that for a few laps right now.
37 of Eracing Walsh goes to the far inside of the dogleg. Haven't seen many right now as of yet that have really gone deep into the dogleg here, surprisingly. Wanting to keep those tires a little bit more fresh than that, with going to the dogleg, obviously a little bit more pressure on the tires.
Near disaster between the 74 and the 79.
In a very deep, both with a little bit of a wobble. Now Eracing Walsh goes to the outside, has been kept to the inside for a very long time already, 6 laps nearly that was. So his tires most definitely not liking too much of that. As now in the background, the 17 goes deep on the 74, pushes up the track as well, nearly opens the door for the 44 in behind. That is gonna make him lose probably another position as the 44 now to the inside. And that is going that right there. Jake Foster in the background took over that position. Daniel Solo to the outside of Dominik Lukomski. The 74 continues to fight in the mid-pack. Tries to get further inside the top 10. Right now sitting right on the brink of that set top 10. And now takes over 9th position from Daniel Solo.
Yeah, and I'm looking I'm liking what I'm seeing from Walsh and Lunkowski right here, because they're both moving up the field. Remembering that Walsh started in the back of Source P14. Lunkowski managed to go into the top 10, started just outside the top 10 in 11th place, and going way too aggressive here about the 3-4 laps in the inside. It does take a little bit of a beating on the tires. I think it isn't way too much because of this next gen cars. It does help them with some aerodynamics, way better than the current gen that is we have right now in NASCAR. So I think it minimizes the tire damage, but still, you're still trying to look for that tire life in the latter portions of the stint, as now drivers all funneled in close to one another between Lunkowski, Forster, and Solo.
Yeah, indeed. By the way, top 5 are starting to drive away a little bit from the rest of the field, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. The gap is about 1.2 seconds at this point already, as Lundberg and Adam are fighting for 12th place in the field right now, still going side by side into turn number 1 and 279 in the inside. Adam should hopefully have this move done by the end of this dogleg, and sure enough, 79 up to 12th place. But right now you can see the importance of the outside as well there, Lorenzo, with the 17 getting a very great run.
Hey, you have to. It's kind of funny. Phoenix is one of those tracks that you can ride so close to the wall, especially going to 3 and 4. And still get away with it, because on the latter portions it kind of becomes the line that you have to take. So whenever you go into those turns, you have to carefully manage the car and just try to avoid the wall, because like risking kind of like nudging the wall gives you some sort of aero damage, and in these cars they're sensitive to aerodynamics, so you can lose easily 3 or 4 spots just because you had a little slight brush in the wall. So even though they're kind of like glued to it, and Eracing did some great improvements of riding the wall of sorts, the physics into it, it still doesn't mean that you can get away with it cleanly every single time.
While the 44 of Jake Forster has gained 8 positions and the 37 of Ocean Walsh has gained 7 positions, Daniel Solo right now, and also Eric Lundberg in that matter, a little bit quite contrary story right now. They have been dropping heavily already. Solo from 9 to 12 and Lundberg from 5 to 13 as they now even come together right here on track. So the 17 and the 13 extremely struggling right now, or maybe it's just them saving just that much of the tire.
Plus, if you really want to save tires right here, Stefan, I think this is the way to go. You probably want to save at the start, then try to get a really, really strong run at the latter portions going to the first pit stop. Because I think what happens after the first pit stop, I think the grid breaks off a little bit more than usual, unless we get a yellow flag, of course. And naturally, because you're doing those different strategies by breaking off, you don't rely on dirty air or being within a draft of cars or a train of cars like you're seeing right now with this 6-car feud close to one another.
Yeah, and especially with the number 13, that's why I really am thinking that at least Daniel Solo is just saving that much tire. Every single time you have seen that 13 on screen, he was to the outside of cars. Most definitely seems like he loves to take the high line, doesn't really want to defend, doesn't really want to fight right now for these positions, just takes the race as it goes. Also, always stays on the banking when it comes to the dog leg. So, yeah, 13 and 17, if they really are saving tires, or pretty sure with the 13, but also if the 17 is saving tires, they're doing probably right now a very great job at just that, and that is just going to extend not only their tire life, but most importantly, that's also going to extend their tire time, because the faster they can go in a later run of the stint, the more time they're actually gonna gain compared to the tires that are right now trying to hang on to their life.
And what also is a key important feature right here is that they don't have like engine modes for the cars like some of the other cars do, right? They all rely on feed and lifting and coasting and some clutching maybe to try to get that car around and save the fuel as well, to go those long stints of 50, 52 laps, maybe 55 before you blow up the tire, right? So you have to rely a little bit on I'm not going to say luck, blind luck, or you're going to have to rely on skills of where to lift off and when to pick up the throttle without killing the rear tires, because again, whenever you're in the latter portions, the car can skid off easily when you go out of 4 or maybe out of 2.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, Ocean Walsh going deep there on the 84 into turn 3, tries to square off there a little bit, turn 4 doesn't really get to that point. Lap 20, we've just completed it. This is kind of where we are going to expect these tires to really start that grip fall off of them right now. This is where they really start to get hurting, and this is really where you're going to be able to see how well these drivers have looked after them, as once again Ocean Walsh all the way to the outside of that turn number 3 and 4. Really goes deep, really tries to get that run into turn 1, but in all reality, never even gets close to the back of the 84.
No, and also I think he got way too scrubbing into the outside of turn number 3 and some dirty and wide. I've hated that, as we also see the battle for 12th place between Eric Lundberg and Daniel Solo close to one another, but just couldn't get anything as well. But that outside line might help Walsh on the long run, because for now what happens is that the driver ahead of Van and going on that inside line, scrubbing his tires a little bit more, and might give the leeway that the Ocean Walsh wants, maybe in 3-4 laps.
Yeah, and by the way, just in case you got a little bit confused there, those timing screens were a little bit on the wrong side, as Ocean Walsh continues to harass the back end of the 84. This time chooses the inside 4-2-1. First time he kind of got there, but still nowhere close as we're continuing to look at the battle for 12th place. The 13 to the outside. As we saw a short little shot there with actually Ocean Walsh being side by side through turns 3 and 4. What can Ocean do this time? He has the run, not really, once again, and has to concede in the fight for 6th place. Yet another lap. While they're fighting so hard though, Jonas Gunnarsson up ahead in 5th place. He's starting to drop off and drop towards them ever so slightly. So might even soon see the battle for 5th place rather than 6th place right now, as Jonas Gunnarsson just riding on his own at 28.528 versus a 28.505 of Tony Oivonen in behind him. So they're not rapidly closing in, but even though they're fighting quite hard, they are most definitely closing in.
Yeah, catching by those milliseconds every single lap, it does matter, you know. On this kind of run, you want to catch up as swiftly as you can, but you have to be progressive. You cannot think about 3-4 laps ahead. I think you have to think maybe 7, 8, 9 laps and try to build up the run to get closer whenever you can, and then get a good running for overtakes. But what it does feel like for Walsh is that Oven is doing his best to kind of hold up this 5-car train that he has back to him, because on paper looks like he is faster than all of them, these 5 cars, but Oven is doing a stellar job of, you know, keeping his line, keeping his cool, and not giving any edge to those 5 cars.
A little bit of a mistake from Tony Oivonen into turns 1 and 2, but didn't really open the door there for the 37, and that is most definitely a bump to the back of the 84. Gloves are off from Ocean Walsh, but still no avail for him to get past the 84. What will that 84 do in response now? Is to continuing to close into Jonas Gunnarsson. The steps that they are taking are getting increasingly bigger as well, as is the lunge from the 37. Alcantech NHR by Simulab driver. Ocean Walsh is getting impatient with this 6th place.
And slightly impatient, looks like, trying different lines as everybody catches to Gunnarsson right there. So Gunnarsson might have to start fending off his position from Oivonen. And Oivonen, I think, also thinking about that long run being better than the number 33 right there. But again, overtaking becomes difficult at this point of the race. They're on 30 laps, so it isn't easy. You have to rely more on your skills than the car itself to make up the ground necessary. And now you can see the traffic that is built up right behind Gunnarsson right there is the one thing you really don't want to have. One car is bad enough, let alone 6 cars.
15 laps until the pit window for the tires open up. 45 is where you want to hit your mark, and that is hitting the other driver. What a save from the 33, though. Keeps it clean, keeps it green, but Ocean Walsh loses 3 positions, and the 33 even more. That was 5 positions lost, but thankfully didn't lose the car.
And somehow, someway, we didn't see a yellow flag being thrown out over here, and that would have been a wrench in the works of some drivers in this track. I think especially Ocean Walsh right there, and somewhat of an aggressive move from Oivonen going to turn number 3 and causing a contact with the car of Gunnarsson, and basically the entire field had to check up right there, and we even saw it 4 wide at one point right there, and some good avoiding actions for the majority of the drivers here.
Yeah, and at the same time, the fight for P number 2 broke loose. Gabriel Stör and Linus Broström fighting for that one, and Broström got passed as well for that. As we go on to the replay of the 84, yeah, that corner speed by the 33 just so extremely slow. I don't really think Uivonen was too prepared for that kind of speed.
I think because of the migration of Gunnarsson right there, Oivinen just staying on his line, you know, just try to keep on the inside of as he can, try to get a good run, and Gunnarsson just kind of migrating to his line of sorts. So it wasn't Oivinen making the touch on Gunnarsson. It's kind of like Gunnarsson migrating on the line and pausing the touch. But
Caution out! That was a spin in the background. Who was that? Was that Gunnarsson?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was. Gunnarsson really started to lose his tires. I wonder if he had help, because he was quite in the midst of the battling. I'll have to wait and see for the replay. There it is, on board with Gunnarsson. Has the 13 to the outside, and oh, that's a little bit of a touch. Saves it, and then got spun around. Who was that?
That was the driver of the number 3 of Eka Davides. I'm not gonna pin this on David because he just couldn't take an avoiding action. He was just right behind. As when the first touch happened, he was just sitting, you know, literally behind the car of Gunnarsson, and you're gonna see the contact happening just after that. There he goes, Stefan. First contact, boom. Second contact, nothing that David Eke could do right there, and spun Gunnarsson around.
Yeah, most definitely. It kind of is the case just with the Oivonen incident that we saw. If you brake right there, you're going to spin yourself around, so really no chance of avoiding. A little bit interesting that we're not seeing everybody on pit road. Most definitely did expect that everybody is going to be on pit road at this point. But Norbert Leitner, Daniel Solo, Eric Blixt, Marcus Hagman, and Linus Broström decided to go on an alternative strategy.
Yeah, trying to maybe go that additional lap, maybe get a point or something like that, and then come into the pit lane and get a lap of additional life. Even though this is the funny stuff, for me, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But go ahead.
Sorry there, Lorenzo. The 16. Long stop for the 16, because I think that 16 missed their pit stall. So Gabriel Stör losing out on the pit lane run on even Tony Oivonen. So a lot of positions lost right there for the Swiss.
I'm starting to think I could have said like he probably got a stop and go penalty for spinning in the pit lane, but that wasn't the case at least.
No, he most definitely did miss his pit stall. So unfortunate pit stop for the 16, but the good thing is we are only on a lap 38 of 180, and it does seem like the lights on the pace car are already out.
Yeah, we're going to get a green flag going in the next turn right now. It's going to be interesting how these 5 cars are going to handle the fierceness of the entire grid behind them with new tires. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
So with the pace and lights already out, since we do not have a lap down car, I think that's the reason why we had such a short caution. Didn't really expect that, and Linus Broström immediately on the loud pedal. Marcus Hagman was waiting for it though. They are continuing side by side into turn number 1 and 2, but do remember that they only have about 20 or so laps left on their tire before it blows out. So these guys are to be expected soon onto pit road, and we have another yellow flag. Another caution. It's Ocean Walsh. It's Ocean Walsh who brought out the yellow flag.
Yeah, Walsh got into some touch with Gunnarsson in the start, in the beginning of the dog leg. You guys gonna see now on the replay. what happened to the Alcantech and HR driver going to the dogleg, got a little bit loose. I think Coach Gunnarsson, that was on the outside line, and unfortunately the car spun around because of the cold tires, and Eke David just couldn't do anything whatsoever to get into contact again.
Yeah, so with a quick succession of caution and with the big bummer of Ocean Walsh not having the best of luck anymore in the first half of the race, we're quickly gonna step aside for a little bit of a announcement from our sponsors. And the green flag is back out at ISM Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona. Linus Broström, for the second time here today, leads the field away from a green flag. Yeah, Marcus Hagman this time around, though, the 12 wasn't as keen on the restart. Missed out ever so slightly. Eric Blix now to the outside, and we have another caution. What is up right now? Cautions breed cautions, as they love to say, Lorenzo.
Yeah, unfortunate to see another caution happening here on track, but I think this is what kind of like we expected after the first restart, because you have those different tire strats and things like that, so you have to be more cautious as you take over the line, and new tires versus old tires eventually brings out a little bit of an abrasion in some of the drivers right here. But it's unfortunate to see nevertheless what happened on track. Looks like, I think, the driver of Kevin Adam getting spun around at the exit of the dogleg.
Yeah, and it was the second incident that we saw at the dogleg, and it really had nothing to do with Kevin Adam. This camera angle doesn't really tell the story, but in all reality, it was between the new tires of Gabriel Stör versus Toni Uivonen, who really caused all of that, as Gabriel Stör just lost it over the transition of the apron, and the 79 just completely ran over the back of him.
Oh, and look at that impact on the 79 of Adam. Nothing you can do about it, so it's unfortunate to see, but then again, I kind of expected this to happen of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, kind of expected, yes, but from the guys on the old tires, not on the new tires. So that is a very interesting and nonetheless. And by the way, Ocean Walsh, the 37 once again did get a hit by a car there, as he himself lost the car. So really continues to not be the day of Ocean Walsh.
Yeah, In the meanwhile, I think one interesting fact about this track, of course, we're still seeing the old version. It's not an old version of the ISM Raceway. Basically, they got the ISM new pavement that it went on the track. Although the start-finish line is not as they just passed by. Right now, the finish line is right where the pace truck and the grid is about to go. Do you know what's the name of the driveway that is goes into the ISM Raceway?
I do not.
Jimmy Johnson Drive, named after the 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson.
Named after the IndyCar driver Jimmy Johnson. Very famous for driving IndyCars very slowly. No, just kidding. He was doing a phenomenal job in his first year in the IndyCar, so you really have to say it. As Benny the Pace truck driver in this case goes into pit lane once again. Linus Broström for the third time in a row on the loud pedal, and there is another wreck, this time for second place. That 24 into the 95 spun around, fourth caution in a row.
Oh my god. I'm a little bit astounded with this one. Oh, what happened? Oh, both drivers looked like they met midway going to turn number 1. It's the battle of, trying to get the best run into turn number 1 right there. Is going to see Adidson getting into what looked like Eric Blixt into the start of turn number 1, and both of them got together.
That was target fixation from the 24 at the very best. Did follow the 71 of Broström and didn't realize the 95 was still driving on their line straight as an arrow. And yeah, just kind of a brain lapse there from the 24. Really nothing I think the 95 could have done there any different in the very end.
Now I'm wondering how many green flag laps we've had since these 3 back-to-back restarts.
Probably 3/4 of a lap since we had the first caution.
So those who are in 12 laps in the stint basically haven't wasted their car tires, as I just saw Eric Blixt missing the pit stop for a quick second.
So, yeah, Eric Blixt into pit lane, but that is to be expected as the 95 was involved in that crash. Eric Lundberg went not into pit lane. Linus Broström, though, he did go into pit lane, the 71, so he calls quits to his tires after 49 laps. Also, he's still in pit lane. That is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
That was an extremely long stop.
Did Broström in...
Now, he had no contact, at least none that I know of. Maybe he just had to step away for a second from his rig or something like that. Or maybe he does have a little bit of right side damage. Either way, he is no longer in the lead, but we do have Toni Oivonen now in the lead. From 10th place up to 1st, he was in 6th place before the caution, the first caution of the day came out. So just because of pit strategy and because of crashes that keep happening out of him, he managed his way up into 1st place. Robert Elling is going to be in 2nd place alongside him in 3rd place. Will be starting Lundberg, or rather in the 2nd row will be starting Lundberg. Martin Capel from 12th place up to 4th place, also a very great run, 4:64 thus far. 5th place will be starting Jonas Gunnarsson, 6th place under cylinder Daniel Solo in 7th. Lukomski 8th, 9th is Gabriel Stör, who after he caused the 2nd caution of the day, went from 2nd place to 9th place, and Hagman, Marcus Hagman that is, from 3rd all the way down to 10th place. That is your starting order in the top 10, at least right now. Alitson, by the way, I think he is still driving. Yes, the 24 is still driving, but he will be driving with a torn up back. You can see him there on the left side of your shot for a brief moment. That was him trying to get to the back end of the field. So we still have 15 cars that will be racing. Alexander Alitson, the last car to take the green flag, and he's also the last car on the pace, or rather on the lead lap. Ocean also still with us, as I think we're getting ready to take the green flag.
Yeah, we are in, just for a little fun, let's get the green flag. Go ahead,
Wow.
take it away, Stefan.
Did not expect that from Tony Oivonen, nor did the rest of the field. Look at that gap that he was not again. A cylinder is around the 140 and a 33 come together, but the green flag stays out as we continue to have also 3 wide in the mid-pack. Ocean Walsh to the far inside, that is. The 12 and 71 to his outside. All keeps together and clean, it seems like, as the 12th, a little bit of a pinch there onto the 37. My goodness, how close were we there to a 4th yellow flag, Lorenzo?
Yeah, as we're gonna look on the replay what happened to Andre Selander right there. Yeah, just getting T-boned by Jonas Gunnarsson, and somehow, some way, they still managed to stay in the inside line. Everybody deviated and no major drama happened whatsoever. As I saw problems with Ocean Walsh on the restart. I think he dropped 1-2 spots back, but now have to fend off the driver of Linus Broström, which again has those better tires than compared to Walsh.
Yeah, not only that, but Walsh also has still that damage on the left side. You're able to see it quite nice, and he adds to that damage. Caution is out, 37 around into the safer barrier as well. That might just be the day for Ocean Walsh, as 4 cautions are out. Second time he is involved in one.
And we nearly had an incident right after that. As we look on the replay what happened between Broström and Walsh. You're gonna see Walsh on the outside line. Linus just with a better run because of the better tires and made contact with the car of Walsh on the outside line, spinning the 37 around and into the barriers went the 37.
Yeah, it kind of seems like 71 got ever so slightly loose there before hitting the 31. Yeah, either way, the day continues to go from bad to even worse to even more worse for Ocean Walsh. So I think at this point I would be thinking about parking the car, because it only keeps on getting worse for him. Eric Blix and Gabriel Stur onto pit lane. They go to get a little bit more of that repair underway. 24 joins them, as well as the 140 and 37.
Interested to see how much of a pit stop will Ocean Walsh do before it comes outside of the pit lane. His car has stopped, no engine whatsoever for Walsh, so it looks like that the driver out of the 37 might be out of this one for good, as some other cars still on an elongated pit stop, like Eric Blix, Arvidsson, and Cylinder out of the pit lane.
So yeah, lap 56 of 180 laps completed. Sadly, we really haven't seen too much green flag racing since lap 38. So pretty much nearly 20 laps have been served under caution. A few green flag runs have been dotted in between those last 4 cautions as well. But in all reality, this race has gone from very clean to very not clean, basically. Lorenzo, but in all fairness, this is also Phoenix.
Yeah, this is a track that kind of invites a little bit of I don't know if it is aggressiveness the best way to call, but some sparks, attrition. That's a bad way to define it. But yeah, for nothing we could do about those restart on Phoenix. They're always going to go side by side, banging doors, banging tires, and trying to find themselves on the track. These old tires versus new tire strategies do matter a little bit, so it's going to be interesting one how the next ones will go, because we barely seen too many laps under green flag. I think we only got 11 total in terms of green flags after we had our first back-to-back restart about 10, 20, 12 laps ago.
Yeah, sadly, that is most definitely the case right here for this portion of the race, most definitely. But yeah, we can only hope for better racing, and Benny, the pace car driver, hopes that his fuel tank will last as long as all these cautions keep on going out. Either way, the 84, that way around, of Tony Oivonen is going to take on the green flag as Benny goes into pit lane. 84 once again very early on the loud pedal, and once again he is completely free of the back in behind him. Eric Lundberg able to defend his second place into turn number 1 ahead of Robert Ehrling. Fourth place still disputed behind him though. Lukomsky and the 64 of Martin Capel are still side by side. Capel on the outside, but is going to have to probably concede right here unless he does get the run. Oh, he gets a very nice run on the outside, does not overdrive turn 4 as well, and gets that 4th place back, I think, from Lukomsky. And here comes the 13 to the inside, hits the 74 door slam. His way past that 5th place driver. Even the 12th gets a nice run and gets past 71 now side by side with him, Linus Broström, trying to get that 7th place away from the 74. But that was most definitely not the nicest move we have ever seen.
No, not at all.
Unaffected by all of this, still continues. Tony Oivonen up ahead in the 84 has gotten himself about a half-second gap to Erik Lundberg in behind. And finally, it seems like the aggression has calmed down a little bit as the entire field is strung out. Still, the fighting continues though for 5th place. Drivers are trying to get runs on each other, as here comes Broström to the inside rather of the 74, as the 74 themselves try for the outside of Marcus Hagman. Broström takes full advantage of the dogleg as well, makes his way to the inside of the 74 and nearly comes together with him, but manages to get away that 7th place.
Yeah, managed to get away that 7th place. The outside goes the 74. We might get another yellow flag.
In a very deed. Caution number 5 is out, and you know what? I kind of think that was a little bit of a hardware malfunction there for Dominic Lukomsky.
Looked like it.
He just darted to the outside wall and kept it in there. So let's have a look here once again on board with Dominic Lukomsky. Comes out of turn number 4, shifts up to 5th gear, turns in, and then just
okay.
stops.
I know what happened. His VR died.
Oh no.
Oh, virtual reality. When are you going to function properly in a sim racing race?
Yeah, Dominic Lukomsky writes it in the driver's chat. Well, Lorenzo, heartbreak moment there for Lukomsky. Tony Oivonen sells the deal nearly on Robert Ehrling for the pit entry. And while Tony Oivonen tries to sell his move onto pit lane, how about we try to sell something from our sponsors? Just as Benny, the pace car driver Dominik Lekomsky is as much out of this race as Benny is still out there on the racetrack. Lights are also out on the pace track, so we're going to go back to green flag racing, which is very much appreciated as we continue with 14 drivers on the track. Dominik Lekomsky joins the list of retirees alongside Jake Foster, Kevin Adam and AK David. 8 rows of cars will take the green flag. Will Tony Oivonen try to go early once again? We have seen 2 restarts from him. Both times he tried to do exactly that. What will he do this time around with the 82 to his outside? Pace car is in, and immediately Tony Oivonen goes on the loud pedal once again, gives himself a nice gap to second place in behind. 17 tries to go to the inside of Robert Erling, and Erik Lundberg seems to make the deal happen, although the run for the 82 very strong, as well as for the 64, and so that means Erik Lundberg nearly losing his 3rd place to the outside car of the 64. Continuing to go side by side through turns 3 and 4, and immediately that is the case, loses 4th place as a 3rd place as well, in danger of now also losing 4th place as the 12th goes to the outside of him. Marcus Hagman on the outside, and I think the 82 up ahead did hit the wall of turn 2, and very much did do that, so the 64 to the inside of the 82 now as well.
Oh, and Gunnarsson got pitched in into turn number 3 right there, and had to lift off the gas to avoid a 3 wide going to turn number 3. So losing a little bit of ground in the meanwhile. Ocean Walsh on the inside of turn number 1 on the 140 of Andres Zelenda. So Walsh with a little bit of a second win in this race after the incident he had with the car in the few laps ago. I'm trying to remember the car, but
Oh no! The 13 sideways hits Ocean Walsh, hits the 16. There's mass carnage right there. 13 spins back onto the track, but the race stays green as there's no car coming up. Can they get it go running again? Yes, they can. 13 and 16 again on their way. Caution stays in the pit lane rather, so we are continuing on the green flag run. Great news for everybody, but especially for Tony Oivonen as he continues to grow the gap back to 2nd place.
And Ocean Walsh has to bring the car into the pit lane, so I think he got a penalty after this one. So that is a heartbreak for Ocean Walsh right there, as we still have battles for the top 5 right here. Nothing is settled so far in this wily whack race.
Yeah, I feel like Ocean Walsh has just gone over the 17x incident limit right there with that hit. If every single contact that he had was a 4x, that most definitely would have been his 18th incident point. So really not the day for Ocean Walsh, as I think he is once again back out onto the track. Yeah, he is, but he is now nearly a lap down on the entire field, as Tony Oivonen starts to get reeled in now by the 82 of Erling. Gap down back under 4/10 between the two, as there's a little bit of a slide for the 82, so the 64 immediately to the outside tries to take advantage of that. Erling is able to defend his 2nd place for now, but is slow through turns 1 and 2, so the 64 gets a nice run, stays outside though, does not go into the dog leg with the 82.
And it's funny to see this race of 2 spectrums of sorts here, Stefan, thinking that Robert Early in the start of the race was the last place car in the field.
Yeah, indeed was last place car, but is able to most definitely, at least for right now, turn his racing luck around. Did lose that 2nd place though to the 64, so now Kaplan up into 2nd, trying to chase down Oivonen, who, because of that battling, got his gap back up to over 7/10 between those two. Linus Broström also starting to find some nice pace because of his fresher tires. So for Broström, for the 71, it most definitely did pay off to stay all those cautions out on the track and gain himself a nice advantage tire-wise, as he now made his way into the top 5 as well. In the back end of the field, Stör seems to have overtaken a 13 of Solo as well. However, they are already 14.5 seconds back. So the guys with damage most definitely seems to be struggling right now. Cars fly by just as the laps do, and Ocean Walsh, in case we still have any fans of him out there after his very disastrous 30-lap run earlier, he is continuing to drive away from Toni Oivonen, so he is at least right now in no danger of getting a lap by him. Meanwhile, Alexander Arlitzen is trying to make his way also back into the top 10, right now fighting with Erik Blixt. That's why you can see him moving up and down the scoreboard right now, but seems to have secured that place. As you're able to see in the far background, that purple car. Interestingly, I really have to say, Capel just not really able to keep much speed in that car compared to what Robert Elling is right now doing. Continues to get harassed by him, but Elling just seems to be content with sitting right here, saving tires, because every single time he goes for that move, he backs out once again.
Yeah, and that, again, that's a really smart from Erling. You know, as we say about spins around, still stays on track though.
Wow, once again, great
commentators' cars
driver.
Have we cursed him?
Maybe, probably, I don't know.
Most likely.
Most likely. But the good thing is the racing continues, so we can look at the replay once again. The 82 of Robert Erling, just too much on the loud pedal. His two teammates in behind.
Liked it.
Oof.
Yeah. But then again, it's that talk of, you know, getting early on the paddle sometimes doesn't do you wonders, especially in this latter portions. And I mentioned that the car likes to skid, especially out of 2 and 4. So that might have happened early, aided with the fact that she had dirty air as well. So unfortunate to see the 82 lose a few spots, but it's still within the realm of the top 5 right there.
You know what's really interesting though? It is that third place driver right now, Linus Broström, continuingly to close that gap to Oivonen, continuing to be the fastest car out there. Mighty impressive what Broström is right now doing with that 71.
You know what's interesting as well is that I really wish you could see how many tire sets some of these drivers have, because I think some of them already use 2 tire sets, right? So we're approaching the halfway mark of this race. We're 9 laps away. And sorry, not 9 laps away. We're 7 laps away of sorts. So we're approaching that halfway mark, and having those tire sets, especially for longer runs, it's important. If you have 3, you're golden. If you have 2, and maybe have to negotiate here and there to see where you're standing best in the track, as we see the number 12 trying to move up the field, just cannot get any run whatsoever on Broström.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you're taking your tires exactly at the quarter marks, you won't have any problems either. But obviously, right now in the golden position, that is Linus Broström, because he is only on his 2nd tire, and he continues to be just that much faster than everybody else. So that's why I'm most definitely thinking that Broström is right now the driver with the best cards in his hand, just because of the tire situation that we're seeing from him and the pace that we are seeing from him. So we'll most definitely have to continue to look at that 71 as to how the others are faring compared to him.
Absolutely. And what I like as well is that despite this restart and the field still being within the one lap, the first car in the back is Ocean Mosh. He's nearly going to get lapped by the lead in a little bit. Is the fact that first, everybody's on the lead lap. Second, top 10 is not wholly separated, so there is still a realm of possibility. Just one spin or one small mistake, you can lose 3, 4, 5 spots because everybody's so close to one another. Just because of those yellow flags playing into effect, and you have to, you know, kind of consider who has the better tires right now because it is so different.
Yeah, exactly. The tires are quite different for a lot of people right now, so we are not having exactly the clear picture as to how this race is going to play out. However, Tony Oivonen is ever so slightly starting to creep away again from the 64 after being closed in by him. Seems like Paul has used a little bit too much of his black rubber and is starting to drop away again. Also, as I said, Ocean Walsh is starting to get caught again by Tony Oivonen. So seems like we'll soon have our first car one lap down, but the good thing is for Ocean Walsh that if he would be getting lapped, the gap to a solo is quite large still, so he would continue for quite a while the only car one lap down, so he would still always get that lucky dog.
Yeah, and that's good for Ocean Walsh right there, being the lucky dog constantly. Well, unless something happens and Daniel Solo is also overtaken, but we have to take into effect that Oivonen is not catching hard Ocean Walsh. It is catching by marginal gains, like 0.2 of a second, maybe 0.3 of a second, or 1/10 of a second, because Walsh is not being slow. He's just as fast as everybody in the grid.
Yeah, he would be most definitely fighting right here for second place as well if he would be here, just judging off his pace. So the pace is very good. He is doing a very nice job to continue to try to be up here, as Leitner and Erling are continuing to fight for that 6th place in the background. And now it seems like a little bit of team orders here. Hagman goes past Broström for 3rd place. And it's Lundberg trying to do exactly the same right here as well. 71 is kept on the high line and probably is also kept to losing positions right now.
Yeah, and you can see that the 71 of Broström fighting back on Lundberg right there as they go into the inside line. That outside might benefit Broström a little bit as he gets the better run and he doesn't use the dog leg. He just uses the line of the dog leg. As we see 3 wide as Norbert Neidler decided to join in the fun.
Yeah, a little bit tight for the 71, a little bit wide for the 9. Doesn't give much room to the 17, but the 9 makes the most of it. Tries to block the run from the 17, does not succeed. The 70 runs into him, into the 71, into the wall. Many cars are damaged, but the green flag continues to be waving.
Continues to be waving as Broström hit the safe barrier. You're gonna look on the replay what happened right there as Lundberg tried to get aggressive on the inside line. Leitner was covering that line, having none of it, and well, the old NASCAR bumped from the 17 on to Norbert and made Norbert get into contact with Linus Broström, and Broström had to throw the car into the safe barrier, losing about 4 spots in the process.
Yeah, the safer barrier doing a great job, but the big news comes in for Linus Broström as he does not have a front end anymore on that number 71 because of that hit with the outside wall. So he is going to be hurting for a very long time until he can get that back, if he even can get it back.
Well, you have to look at it this way. At least his car is air-cooled from now on.
I'm not so sure as to how much better it is. I would nearly even say it's worse for aerodynamics.
No, of course it is worse. I'm just trying to make a meme right here.
However, if the 71 and the 24 would switch their cars around, they would have a clean car again, because the 24 is missing the rear end, the 71 is missing the front end. That would make, once again, a complete car. So Eracing goes past him for 9th place. As we have a car to the inside here, that's Capel. Interestingly enough, green flag pit stop from Martin Capel and nearly hits, whoa, the retainer there.
You really don't want to do that. But then again, the first driver within 60 laps on the tire, of course. Take into effect that we have a lot of yellow flags, so it is natural to see Capel coming into the pit stop. We should be seeing now the leader come to the pit lane. Lundberg and Erling should be coming up soon.
There also Stör is, by the way, in the pit wall, but in the pit lane rather, as Capel on the slow motion. I'm not sure he avoided that. I think there was a little bit of a nudge involved.
There was some nudging. Is that? Do you think that is 0x? Is that? Can we consider that even a car contact?
I think that was a 0x. Also, by the way, Tony Oivonen from the lead into pit lane, now in his pit stall. So the 84 calls quits on this run. Takes 4 tires for obvious reasons. Still stationary in his pit stall, by the way.
Is he repairing some damage? Because he has some damage on the car.
Yeah, I'm wondering right now myself if he hit the wall or something, because he was driving nicely away from this field, and now he just got off the pit stop. 54 seconds for pit. Was he too fast on pit lane? That is right now what I'm wondering. Oh, you know what? I think he got himself a pit stop penalty for too fast of a pit entry. He was about 30-40 over the pit limit. And I think he got caught speeding, because that would be exactly those 40 seconds on top that you would get for speeding on pit entry.
And it's such, by the way, it is such a tricky pit stop, not because it is easy for you to come into the pit lane. Coming in, it's the easy part, but I think it comes so fast, Stefan, that you can easily mismanage the pit entry speed more than probably some other short ovals in the NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but you also can have such a tight entry into the pit lane that you kind of get sidetracked by turning and just completely forget to brake. Seems like that was what was happening for Tony Oivonen. But we're right now in the stage of a quiet race, so let's quickly cut over to some very nicely made commercials. We welcome you back with second place, the number 17, Eric Lundberg, after he just took over the second place from Hagman, who decided to go into pit lane himself. The green flag pit stops are in full swing at this point in time. Norbert Leitner right now your leader, but a second ahead of before mentioned Eric Lundberg. Andres Elander, after his mishaps after the last caution, is back up into third place, but still owing us a pit stop.
Yeah, a lot of drivers need to come into the pit lane. For example, Lundberg on aggregated stint, he's on 73 laps. The only driver who went longest than him, Gunnarsson, on 74 laps. But we have to take into consideration like tire life, probably on within the 49 to 50 laps, maybe reaching 52 depending on circumstances right here. So they are due to come to the pit stop anytime soon.
Yeah, 111 of 180 laps soon to be completed. So we are starting to get to the back end of this race after a very troublesome 30 or so lap segment in the first half of this race. We most definitely are once again in full swing in the green flag runnings of this race here at the ISM Raceway at Phoenix, Arizona. As we are looking on between the battle of Eric Blix and Gunnarsson, but Gunnarsson decides to go into pit lane, ends this battle right away for us. So he goes into pit lane from 5th place to put on new tires. By the way, where is our former second place driver? That is the 64 of K-Paul, right now 9th place, 21 laps in behind. So once everything has cleared up, the 64 should be in the lead. Can't say once again in the lead because Tony Oivonen did lead this race until the green flag pit stops started. And yeah, pretty much it is confirmed for the 84 of Tony Oivonen that he got himself a little bit of the too fast into pit lane.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that too fast in pit lane, but we mentioned it's so easy to not again, it's not to it's like undermine the entry of the pit lane, not more in terms of speed than the entry itself, and that's what happened to Oivonen right there. And all you have to do is just take it as a learning process, shake your head and take it to the next race, or maybe strategize some different strategies, because we've seen even in this late portions of the race, we're just past the midpoint of this race, some drivers still 2 laps back can make it back within the lead lap and contend.
Yeah, and with the situation of Linus Broström, I think right now the guy with the best cards right now is actually Norbert Leitner. I think he is still on his second set of tires. So the 9 is looking quite strong right now, 29.0. The last lap was Capel is closing in by about a second a lap, by the way, as Ocean Walsh now into pit lane from 12th place. So Walsh is going to go down 2 laps right here. As also Lundberg and Zelander into pit lane from 2nd and 3rd. So we only have 4 cars remaining that still need to go into pit lane.
5 cars counting Daniel Solo. He's on 71 laps. But he's kind of like out of the contention nearly a full lap back and has to save a little, trying to save some tires in field to get to the pit lane as well. But I like where Leitner and Blake are at this current moment of the race, because they have tires to use. If their next pit stop, depending on circumstances, could be the last if they get some yellow flags in it. So it's all about managing the gap that you probably have towards the leaders whenever you cycle into the pit lane right now.
Norbert Leitner under pressure from Tony Oivonen. That is just the difference between new tires and old tires. So the wannabe SRT yellow driver gets passed by Tony Oivonen. who unlaps himself. Thought for a second that Leitner is going to go into pit lane here because of his interesting line. As we have another confirmed retiree, Gabriel Stör, the Swiss driver, is going to retire his 16. So Oisin Walsh, 13th place right now, continues to be the last car to be still driving it. Here we go, the 9 of Norbert Leitner into pit lane. Let's have a look at how he's going to take that. Or let's not rather and focus on to another car. But there we have Norbert Leitner. You can see how weird of an entrance that really is, because you're coming from so far to the inside, darting to the outside as well. It really is easy to miss that pit entry.
It is really easy, and that's the difference of like NASCAR entry than the IndyCar. Oh, he misses his pit stop by a quick while right there. Probably lost a second in the total pit stop time. He's gonna come out of the pit lane anytime soon, as he's about to get his second set of tires on the left-hand side. It's interesting. Like IndyCar, you kind of merge into the pit lane whenever you are between 3 and 4. NASCAR, you have to use the backstretch because you do not brake in time when you come out of the pit lane. And you can see him using the dog leg, and this is kind of legal. You don't get a unsafe pit exit if you do that, even though it looks like it isn't a safe pit exit.
Yeah, the white line there to the inside is just for decorations. In reality, you would have to keep to the white line and exit only at the cone, but the good thing is on Eracing we can use the dog leg to its fullest coming out of pit lane. So there is no penalty for doing what Norbert Leitner just did. By the way, he did exit in 8th place, 1 lap down, as now also Allison into pit lane from 4th place. So that means K-Paul is now in 2nd, with Eric Blix, the only driver to still owe us a pit stop from the front.
So on paper, now this becomes like who pits first and who can carry that grip longer, right? Because everybody has still one more set, and on paper, they still have to come to the pit lane one more time. So the first one that will come looks like will be Martin Capel, maybe in 20-something laps, like 23 laps-ish. I think he might be doing the 50 laps in right here. So he comes right around lap 158. Or the other drivers might come in the final 15 to 10 laps of this race, if I did my mathematics correctly right here, and usually I don't. So it becomes like who has the better grip to fight towards the end of this race. And we see sometimes, even in real life, I think Denny Hamlin might be one of the best examples, even Jimmy Johnson at that as well, that the grip does matter if you're trying to chase someone down in Phoenix, but that doesn't mean you get away unscathed just because you might have built up a really large cushion with some old tire strategies.
Yeah, with like, for example, Leitner, the good thing for him is he can play it quite nicely right now. He can stay and wait out there for up to lap 160 and then come into pit lane if there was no caution up to that point, because you basically know you are good to nearly the very end of this race. So in all reality, he has, as already said earlier, the best cards right here, because the others, they have to drive to a certain point until they can safely make their pit stop for the end, and then they have no tires left anymore. So Leitner has the luxurious right now that he can stay out and wait and see what the other drivers are doing around him, and he now even has the good tires, so he can make up quite quickly a lot of ground right here, just because of utilizing his tires. So Norbert Leitner, if he stays on point, he might be a threat for the victory here today in Phoenix.
Yeah, he might be a threat here to win this race. Some guy looking in the outside, but highly experienced as well. We can take away that liner very well surrounded on all kinds of cars, not only NASCARs, but I see him do some Indy races. Definitely some GT races, some top tier GT races. Very fast driver in GT3 cars. So his pedigree could allow him to propel him to a victory, and his strategy might be on point as well. Despite having some damage on the back, as we still look in this battle for third place between Erling, Gunnarsson, and Lindberg.
Yeah, by the way, don't be confused. The two cars we're seeing actually fighting, that is the 33 versus the 13. The 13 of Daniel Solo being 2 laps down on Gunnarsson. So we're not seeing a battle for position right now. It is just Daniel Solo right now driving through this field, because he also pitted on the same lap of Leitner, obviously having much fresher tires than the other drivers around him. He makes easy moves on the other guys around him. Also, we're just 5 laps away from the pit lane opening for the very last time for these guys that want to take a 45 lap stint to the end, because that mark would exactly be lap 136. And Solo now also makes his way around the outside of the 82, just really gives you a perspective of how nice it is to drive on new tires versus old tires. Just drives around the outside of the 82, not even a chance for him. And now we have the battle for position between Erling and Gunnarsson for third place.
Yeah, it got really close between Erling and Solo at one current point right there. Solo nearly looked like he was gonna rear end the 82, but got away unscathed right there. And Erling just trying to survive with his tires at the current moment, because Gunnarsson is coming in hot with his Toyota Camry on the 82 of the Camaro from the Forza esports car.
Daniel Solo, by the way, also just made up a position as he passed Toni Oivonen, the orange and black car ahead of the 82. So Solo now back into 11th place, as Oivonen himself tries to battle as best as possible on his worn tires after his big blunder on pit lane. It gave himself a 40-second stop and hold penalty because of a too fast pit entry. Now gets lapped by the 82 to put him again 1 lap down on third place. All this, by the way, is happening behind Marcus Hagman, about 9 seconds behind him to be precise. The 12 continues to lead the way. 1 hour 15 minutes have already been driven. Right now leading, as said, about 5 seconds ahead of Martin Kaplan, who holds himself also a 4.5 second lead over the battle pack for third place. Robert Erling and Gunnarsson, as well as Norbert Leitner, who is already driving past these guys on the fresher tires, takes the inside against the 82. Not yet successful, but will most definitely be right here. Just look at how much more grip there is for him to the inside of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, easy come, easy go for Norbert Leitner right there. I think aided by the fact that Oivonen was on the outside and blocked off Gunnarsson at some point, and made the transition from P5 to P4 easier for Leitner, and then just made quick work of Erling just after that. So again, 17 lap tires for Norbert Leitner. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches the Capel maybe in the next 5 laps or so, and then contend for the P2. Hagman is a different story. He's 5 seconds away, nearly 6 seconds away. Actually, now 6 seconds away from Capel.
Yeah, Norbert Leitner is faster by about a second than both Kapal and Hagman. So very, very fast indeed. Norbert Leitner is 28.272 for him last lap, where Martin Kapal actually did a 29.9. So nearly 2 seconds faster than him. And Hagman did a 28.6. So Hagman did increase his pace once again, but Leitner continues to make many grounds up. Meanwhile, the 33 and the 82 of Erling are fighting, and it seems like Erling is starting to get away again a little bit. Oh no, wait, sorry. No, it is. Yeah, that's the 84 of Oivonen to the outside, and Erik Lundberg now trying to make his way around the 84. The lap traffic, Lorenzo, starts to be a little bit of a focus point for our lead lap drivers.
It does, you know, because one quick thing about oval racing, you don't get a blue flag to get waved around saying, oh, you're the slower car, you have to give up the position or something like that. You have to fight it on the track, and they don't have to make it easy. Some of them make it easy, but most of them pretty clean so far, staying on the outside line, not trying to get in the line of the drivers. So so far, I think the biggest loser in this one might have been Gunnarsson.
What happened to Kapal? Why is he all of a sudden with these guys? Is he hit the wall? My goodness, no, he's just dropping that much pace right now. Martin Kapal just extremely slow right now, and now even got overtaken by the 84 of Toni Oivonen. He lost 4 seconds in the last 2 laps. He is dropping everything right now. Last lap, a 30, nearly.
Well, we have to take into effect, excuse me, is that he is the guy that is the longest on tires as well here, Stefan, 45 laps for Kapal. So the fact that he is on 45 laps makes him the slowest car in the field by a long mile. So it's basically a sitting duck for everybody.
Yeah, so Martin Kapal right now driving to the numbers, waiting for his mark to finally come into pit lane. Now even got overtaken by Anders Selander, and Selander looked like an Indy car driving past a truck driver. That's just how much slower Martin Kapal is at this point. Continues to stay out, continues to complete lap number 44. Maybe he comes in at the end of lap 45, 145 that is, because that gives him a nice 35 laps. And oh my goodness, that turn one just by Kapal in the background. I think we need to widen ISM Speedway here for Martin Kapal right now.
Yeah, we need something like the Super Speedway, the Eracing Super Speedway, but he yields and comes immediately into the pit lane, but the car looks like he has no grip.
Yeah, I think his tires have blown out of Martin Kapal, because that most definitely looked like slick tires on ice. The way he drove through turns 1 and 2, and even the dog leg, no grip whatsoever. Much grip though to the number 17 as he makes his way past Robert Erling, now moves himself into 3rd place. So Robert Erling, after a fast medium part of his stint, seems like the 82 also starting to lose grip on those tires.
It did look like that Lumber hit the outside wall on the exit of 2, but no, it was just a close call for the 17.
And also the 82 of Robert Erling drives into pit lane, sees the writing on the wall, and immediately dives for the safety of pit road. So our last green flag pit stops are firmly on their way. When will Norbert Leitner, rather go into pit lane? He continues to close in on the 12 of Marcus Hagman. But the shrinking of the gap has been nearly neutralized by Hagman, as the last lap he only lost his 10th back to Leitner.
Yeah, but Liner had some traffic behind him off Daniel Solo, so that aided Hogman right there to retain the lead in the race so far with about 4 seconds on Liner, but still, Liner has at least 20 more laps before coming into the pit lane and more grip than Hagman, as Hagman is due to come to the pit lane anytime soon, but doing a really good job of keeping the number 9 away.
Jonas Gunnarsson was the car on pit road that you're able to see. 14.6 seconds stop. He drives back out in 10th place, obviously 1 lap down, and even drops behind Eracing. So that is then a genuine fight for position, 1 lap down. As I think also Kapal is not too far away from Gunnarsson. Either way, very, very interesting points in times. These guys will have to pit nonetheless. Still about 30 laps to go in this race here today. Norbert Leitner, under 4 seconds the gap now is between himself and Hagman. Hagman continues to only lose about 2-3 tenths per lap, so doing a very great job for that number 12. As we drive on board with Norbert Leitner, car ahead of him, that is Ocean Walsh, by the way, the 37. Continues a struggle-some day, one could say, and continues to be in 13th place. The only car 2 laps down.
The only car 2 laps down. Last lap, basically 3/10 of a second shredded by Liner over there, but his time is running out of sorts. I think that is, if Hagman comes into the pit lane still in the lead, it's gonna be tight, you know, maybe the final laps of this race. I don't know if Liner is gonna have enough cushion to battle for the win in this race. Maybe 3 seconds. If I say 2 seconds, it's a good maybe. If I get 3 seconds to 3.5 seconds, it becomes like, when does Liner pit and how many laps left he has left to build up the gap. Not build up the gap, but take away the gap from a line from Hagman right there.
Now my question is, at the point where Leitner did pit, can he make it on fuel to the end?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay, so that throws that question out of the way. Because if the answer would have been yes, it could have been that Leitner just, you know, goes into full send mode and tries to stay out until the very end, because it is a lot of time that you do most definitely lose by going into pit lane.
It's gonna be interesting. I think one of the key things about this new generation of NASCAR is that they don't have the cans of fuel like they used to in the current gen, right? So you can put X amount of fuel if you so desire in the car. So it does become some sort of a pit strategy battle of when Liner comes in. I think if he goes all the way, maybe 10 more laps, he pits with 170 maybe to go. 170 out of 180, so it would be 11 or 12 laps to go right here if he goes the full stint. I don't think he can actually catch in 12 laps.
Well, most definitely I think the strategy should at this point be pit at the same time as Hagman, and then hope for the best to try to catch him that way. But either way, it will be a monstrous undertaking for the number 9 if he wants to win. First though, he has to get past the 37 of Ocean Walsh. Seems like Walsh is letting the 9 past. Yes, indeed, stays on the high side. Also made the command to the 9 to drive down the inside. So easy goings for the number 9. It's free game now between himself and the 12. Only problem though for the number 12, he is not too far away from the 71, which he will have to lap.
Yeah, and Hagman on 50 laps, so he's due to come to the pit stop anytime soon. Not coming in this lap, so I think every lap that he stretches makes it a little bit complicated for him to defend on liner in this race. Last lap with 2:29.109 for Hagman, liner 4/10 quicker, nearly 3/10 quicker, nearly than Hagman. Actually, his last lap 0.2 of a second quicker because he did a 28.813. The driver of the number 9. So it's getting complicated. It's getting tricky.
Hagman continues to stay out yet again. Obviously, with every lap he drives, he gets closer and closer to the point of a blowout for his tire, so he really has to be careful to not overdo it right now. He's starting to massively slow down already. Last 2 laps he lost 0.2 on himself. So he really has to be careful because that car really starts to get pushy right now. Norbert Leitner last lap 4, nearly 0.5 closed in. How about this lap? It's a 29.04 Hagman, a 28.84 Leitner, so another 0.2 gain. The gap now under 1.5 seconds. It is going to be a nail-biter finish for the lead here between Leitner and Hagman.
It is going to be a nail biter as Hagman is about to come to the pit stop anytime now, as we're going to have a little bit of a word of our sponsors.
The caution at the ISM Raceway is out. Unsurprisingly, our 2 top dogs are into pit lane, and the cause for caution is the 84 of Tony Oivonen. For the very first time, Lorenzo, we saw a car hit the outside wall at turn 4.
Yeah, we saw that a few times in practice, but it took quite a lengthy while to see that in the race, and unfortunately we got that with nearly 15 laps to go. But what I like about this changes the whole dynamic of the race, in my opinion, because right now Blixt is in the lead, and I don't think he's gonna pit. Erling is in second, and he's not gonna pit.
Yeah, everybody that is right now out on track is not coming onto pit lane anymore. So this race has been turned a little bit upside down with that spin from the 84 who now goes into pit lane. Yeah, we're gonna have to see how this will now affect our racing, as here we have the onboard with Tony Oivonen just pushes on the old tires to the outside wall, spins himself out because of how weird these cars can be to save on a little slide like this. So I really don't give too much fault to the 84 for not being able to hang on to that car.
Yeah, it's easy to miscalculate, especially late in the run, and unfortunate to see Oivonen, after such a good race, fall back so hard into the feud, from good to bad to worse. Is the tale of the number 84. Had to claw back into the pit lane. Did some adjust the tire and fuel strategy, still within a lap back. So if he gets more and more lap of caution, not caution, he is the lucky dog. And it would be interesting to see Oivonen go back into prime positions here on the track.
So, as the lap-down cars make their way past Benny, the pace car driver, and only 13 laps to go, 12 laps at the end of this caution, so we'll have 12 green flag laps here. Quick rundown here of top 10 drivers. Eric Blick's gonna start this race on, or start this caution back on the pole. Robert Elling to his outside, Marcus Hagman, third Norbert Leitner, fourth Anders Cylinder, fifth Alexander Arlitzen is going to take the green flag in sixth, Jonas Gunnarsson seventh, eighth will be Linus Broström solo, and Lundberg running out your top 10 on this hopefully last restart of this race. The first two drivers on old tires, second row on new tires. How is that going to fare? Well, we're gonna see right here, right now. The 95 is waiting and now goes on the loud pedal. Does surprise the rest of the field a little bit. Bad start from Hagman and Leitner. 140 was much better on that restart, but Cylinder not really able to do anything. Here comes the outside run now, though, for Norbert Leitner. Does he get boxed in behind? No, he does not. The 12th, though, far to the inside, is taking home second place, at least right now. 95 on the outside does box in the 9 of Leitner a little bit. So with that, already first and second place retained by Hagman and Leitner. So with that, the chase for first is on.
The chase for the first is on, as I'm seeing 3 wide in turn number 1 and 2, as Adelsson nearly got into contact with the driver of the 95 of Blixie. Actually got now into contact with him going to turn number 3, still 3 wide into 3 and 4, but so far that battle for the lead is going to get hot, because the gap separating Hagman to Leitner just is 0.2 of a second between one another.
Unsurprisingly, many aggressive moves have been made already. 10 laps to go in this race. Who will take home the winner's trophy here today? Will it be Leitner or will it be somebody else? We'll have to wait and see. Under 10 laps to go is another 3 wide situation in the background. That's the 17 to the inside of the 95. You can see just how much Blixt is hurting on his old tires. I don't even think he had a new set of tires, so that's why he stayed out there and just was hoping on more cautions to follow right here. However, at the top of your field, the 9 continues to give chase to Hagman, but Hagman is driving for the life of his tires, because those tires are most definitely screaming away as he pushes them to the absolute limit.
Yeah, pushing them to the absolute limit, as Leitner gonna dive on the inside once again. Dove actually a little bit more deeper than Hagman on the entry on turn number 3, trying to claw himself at least 1/10 of a second on the number 12, and the number 12 still staying in strong against the 9 numbered car, as right in behind the number 82 has to fend off Cylinder with a little bit of a second win in this race. Who could have thought the 140 battling for podium spots?
Yeah, Andre Selander, also one of the cars that did drive into pit lane on that last caution, so he's also making a nice easy moves here. Great to see that 140 after already having bad luck in Nashville, getting wrecked out quite early in the race. Once again having issues early in this race as well, climbing back inside the top 3. I think Andre can be very happy with that result. Either way, in the mid-pack of the field, there's still quite some fighting to be done. The 24 tries to salvage every little ounce that he still can salvage. Remember, this purple machine did start in first place, got caught up in one of the many cautions in the mid part of this race, so now is just trying to find the best he can. Also, he is on new tires, doing a very great job, trying the best. Has gotten up into 5th place with that overtake, by the way, on Broström. Also seems like Broström get his front end back, I think. No, does not. Sorry, that was a lap out that he was overtaking. That was actually the 84 of Oivonen. And now Arlitzen is on the back of Robert Erling. Also Erling, remember, on all tires. So it should be an easy move for the 24. Immediately goes to the inside here. And should have make that pass a done deal right here into turn number 1. Yeah, much later. Braking. Oh no, there's a little bit of a contact between the 82, 84, 71 speeds around. No, that's a caution.
That is disaster. Oh my god. We're gonna get our first green-white checkered here.
I'm not sure if this series features green-white checkered.
Do we have? Yeah, this will be an extended green-white checkered finish. As we see the replay,
there it is.
Broström.
I just can't read. I'm very sorry. We will have a green-white checkered. So hopefully the aggression will be kept inside acceptable limit. Because let's just not extend this race too much further. Either way, at the front of the field, what I wanted to come to, you really didn't miss anything while we saw those fightings in the mid-pack of this field, because Hagman was able to keep a nice distance to the 9. However, most definitely, the 12 did try extremely hard on his tires. So the big question here is, does he still have the tires for 2 more laps?
That is a great question to be asked, and I think what we have to ask a little bit more as well is, does Cylinder and Arvidsson have the car to get closer and contend for that top spot as well? Because all 4 cars have 14 laps on their stint of tires, so it's gonna be an interesting one how these 4 cars will battle for positions in the podium spots. Because here's the thing, whenever that Hagman goes off the gas, he's probably gonna do what a Jeff Gordon-esque move of, go on the gas, check up then lift off the gas, check up the whole field, and then go off again. People might say it's dirty, but hey, it's racing. You're the leader controls the restart, not the other guy.
In very deep. However, I'm not 100% sure if it is actually legal in this series. Either way, it will all be down to how well not only Hagman but also Leitner, Selander and Arlitzen can be on that restart, because remember, as you said correctly, these cars are the only 4 cars on fresh tires at the point of the field. So what we will see here will most definitely decide the race winner at the very end.
My question is, as Ocean Walsh has to retire the car, real quick, who does get? Does Hagman get any leeway of covering the inside line? Because right now, they are 13 laps in the stint of their cars. Does the outside line become the better line for you to make an overtake?
That also is a very good question. I could not give you an answer for that. We'll have to wait and see. And also, I mean, the big question is not only what is the outside line going to be able to do, but what is the second line, the second row is going to do, because remember, these guys are on the same tires, so and they had to fight their way through the field. How well are their tires still holding up while the 12 and 9 were pushing the lives out of their tires? Either way, it all will be answered right after Benny, the pace car driver, drops, hopefully for the last time, into pit lane, which will be now done. The 12 controls the pace of the field very, very slow. Is thing now goes on the loud pedal, drives away. It's a bad start. 49 might even be losing second place right here to Cylinder to the inside. No, it's a bad entry for the 140. Side by side, they go for third place with Alexander Allinson to the outside, and caution is sound once again. Daniel Solo spun out of turn 2.
Daniel Solo spinning out of turn 2. Kind of expected to see nearly 4 wide into turn number 1. You're going to see right there on the replay now 4 wide between 4 cars. I think the 64 of Capel had to back away to try to be safe right there and avoid the contact, but cause a collateral contact because of him backing away on the 13. But that's Broström hitting Gunnarsson. Gunnarsson hit the 13 out of Solo, and the Capel couldn't do anything about it, causing the contact, bringing out the second green-white checker.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm honestly not 100% sure what the 13 was thinking there. Diving from 2 car lengths back to the inside of the 33. Ultimately, though, it wasn't really his fault, you have to say it. 71 hit the 33, hit the 13. So, yeah, even though he made that extremely risky move into turn 1, wasn't his fault whatsoever that he, in the end, brought out the yellow flag. Good news, though, that is for Norbert Leitner this caution, because after his extremely bad start, after the last green-white checkered, he has another try for exactly that. But the question really is, he does have some damage to his right rear. He had it for a lot of this race already. How much is affecting him right there for those very hard pushes on new tires?
It's gonna be a key thing to talk about in this race, as they're still trying to line up the cars, prepare for a possible restart in a little bit. Of course, Benny, the pace car, the pace truck driver, is still with the blinking lights on, so we might be able to see those lights go off in the next lap whenever we get our second green-white checker to restart. The restart, apologies. And Leitner again needs to be focused the entire time on Hagman. Maybe give a little bit of leeway, small leeway, maybe 1 car or half a car, to see when does he go off the gas.
Yeah, hopefully Norbert Leitner, the number 9, has learned out of that first restart and can give a little bit of a greater challenge to Hagman. But you also have to give full props to Hagman on that first restart, on the first green-white checkered, just because of how well executed that restart was. Lights go out for the second time of the green-white checkered. The second try is on. Just one more circuit right here off this oval, and we hopefully will have a successful try of the green-white checkered rule here. I think also this is the first try of this league for the green-white checkered.
Did we have that in Charlotte? I don't remember.
I don't think we had it for the first race of the season. Could be wrong though. Either way, the 12 and the 9, 140 and the 24 line up once again for a try on the restart. The guys in behind also very eager, the 17 and the 82, to maybe get a jump on the restart. Benny goes into pit lane once again, the 12 very slow and hits the loud pedal even later this time. Waits, now goes once again a bad start for the 82. Had a great jump but had to slow down. A 140 once again to the inside, but Norbert Leitner at least able to defend second place right now. Halfway around the track they go. This is confirmed going to be the white flag this time around. So the 12 and the 9 once again bunch up together through turns 3 and 4. Norbert Leitner trying his best to get to the back end of the 12, deep into turn 1 as the white flag flies into the dogleg. Both go for the very last time of this race. The 9 deeper into it than the 12, but Hagman has all the answers for the questions Norbert Leitner is throwing up, and the 12 comes out hopefully victorious one last time out of 4. Yes, in very deed. Hagman, your winner of the ISM Raceway here at Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, good drive from Hagman right there, just keeping Leitner at bay on both restarts, caught him off guard both on the restarts, and nothing that a Leitner could do to get close and contend for P1 right there. And a really good battle between Salander and Auditson, but Salander managed to come away with third place at the end of the day. A little bit of an attrition in this race, but nevertheless, really great battles all the way down to the end.
18 cars started this race, 12 finished it in the very end, and all of them on the lead lap. Kind of fitting as the 12 also wins it under the lights of Arizona. Fireworks going off in the background. Here are your confirmed results for round number 3 of the European E-Racing League. Marcus Hagman, number 12, wins it for Force Esports Academy in his Chevrolet, ahead of Norbert Leitner in his Ford. The 140 of Andy Selner, after a very bad start to this race, climbs his way back into third place alongside Alexander Arlitzen for Force Esports. Also very bad start to the race in the very end, does get that 4th place away. And also the award for the fastest lap in this race also goes to Arlitzen. Eric Lundberg 5th place with Jonas Gunnarsson in 6th. Robert Elling 7th. 8th place went in the very end to Linus Broström, with Martin Kapal in 9th place. And rounding out your top 10 of this field is Daniel Solo for Alcantech NHR by Nyman Racing. Eric Blix, the 95, in the very end finishes in 11th place, with Toni Oivonen in 12th. He's also the very last car to finish today's race. Retirees, amongst others, Eugen Walsh, Gabriel Stör, Dominik Lukomski, 15th place, with Jake Forster, Kevin Adam and David Ecke, all very early out of this race here today. So with that, we say a very great evening to everybody out there today, and we're gonna bring it back over to the studio with Jonas Voss.
Welcome back to the studio in Stockholm here from Mason Studios. What a race we've seen. A lot of green flag laps at the end and in the beginning and in the middle. Yeah, kind of a lot of cautions. But with us right now we have André Selander from Alcantech NHR by Nyman Racing. André, what a race. How do you feel?
Yeah, it feels good. Felt like I had P3 in the bag with my strategy, and even though the caution came out and I had to pass somebody, I feel P3 was my place to be today.
Regarding that you started in 13th this race, how did you feel in the beginning of the race? Did you feel that you did any mistake in the qualifying, or did you ever get a little bit concerned of your pace overall?
No, so I messed up my qualifying. The exit on my first lap, the exit in T4, I messed up, so I completely screwed my both qualifying laps. But I felt like I had the pace and the tire management for this race because I knew it would be a tire race.
We were talking before the race a little bit when we did the voting if we should add another set of tires, and you obviously wanted another set of tires to be added for this race, but now with a P3, how do you think about it?
No, so it's quite good. I'm glad now at the end of the day that we decided not to. But I usually prefer to have an extra set of tires for better racing. But if this would have stayed green, I don't think that we would have used the last set of tires. Anyway, so
in 2 weeks we're going to Las Vegas. How do you feel about the America's Sin City?
So the track, I think it will be a lot of full throttle there, and a lot of pack racing, and that will be excited. But you have to drive with your teammates and find people to help you out with. So I think it will be interesting because it's usually not a track where you go full throttle, but I'm looking forward to it.
3 races done now, another 125 points in the bag. How does the season look for you? What's your goals?
So now this is actually my first good finish this season. I have good qualifying, but then I have bad races. Now I had a bad qualifying and a good race. So my aim is for next race is to have both good qualifying and both good racing. And at the end of the day, hopefully score some points for Alcantech.
Before we continue on this broadcast, is there anybody that you want to thank or send a greeting?
Yeah, so this time I want to thank my mom and my dad. They mentioned last time I had an interview in the Swedish league that I should say hi to them. So now I'm doing it.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Alcantech, of course. But my boys in NHR, they are awesome to race with.
Amazing. Congratulations on the 3rd position, Andrea, and see you in 2 weeks at Las Vegas.
You too, man.
Thank you. Yeah, André Selander really does a great race here at Phoenix. Regarding starting 13th, we got a little bit messy in the middle of this race with a lot of cautions, and tire strategy played a big role since we only had 4 sets of tires to race with, and looks like he did everything right there. In the strategy, another guy that really was on the right spot at the right place was Norbert Leitner. We will quite soon have him here in the broadcast too. So, and Leitner is another guy that didn't really qualify that well. He started out at position 16 and ended up in second. So yeah, I think that we have a lot of questions to ask there. Norbert, are you with us?
Yeah, I am here.
Congratulations on the second place. How do you feel right now?
You. Yeah, I was talking with my teammate before the race, so that we should qualify or not. And we decided to not qualify because it's usually a mess in the starts at the Phoenix track. So we tried to come back from the last places of the grid.
And it worked out quite well for you.
Yeah. I was really unlucky in the first yellow flag, because there was a car coming from the wall and I hit him. So I had a 1 minute of optional repair, but yeah.
We're looking at pictures of your car right now behind the pace car in the last restart, and yeah, there's a few spots on the car that's still clean. You finished with 12 incident points. It's the most in the top 5, but still you managed to drive this car fast enough to finish second. Did you ever think that you would have the possibility to beat Marcus Hagman to the finish line?
Well, Marcus was really fast in the after the last yellow, so I don't think I could pass him, because I thought he don't have any new tires, but he had, so that was my strategy to save tires. But yeah.
In around lap 100 of this race, we realized that it was only 2 cars in the whole field that was on the exactly same pit cycle. How did you plan your pitting this race?
Well, my tactic was save tires, so I could go fast in the after the last yellow if we can go like much green flag run. But yeah, it was really nice to have like that long green run.
After all these cautions, in 2 weeks we're going to Las Vegas. How do you feel about that track?
Well, I like Las Vegas, so hopefully it will be good as this, or even better.
Some important 135 points in the bag for you, Norbert. And is there anybody that you want to thank before we carry on with the broadcast?
Yeah, I would like to thank Tordina, to our sponsor, and to my teammates.
All right there. Good job today. Congratulations on being the first loser in this race, but a second place is always second place, and it's a long season ahead of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Norbert Leitner, my friends out there watching this race. Another second place, or a second place for him here. As we said, we've had a very eventful race in front of us, or behind us right now, but an interesting season that will be continuing on every other week here. Next person to talk with is Marcus Hagman, a guy that rarely wins a race, but is very, very close a lot of times. A lot of third positions, second positions in leagues that he have raced, but obviously he have been waiting until a special day to win, and today's that special day. Are you with us, Marcus?
Time for it. I'm here.
Congratulations on the win today, Marcus. How does that feel?
Oh, that feels amazing, and to do it in the European League with such a great races, I would say the elite of Europe. That feels really awesome.
Really awesome feeling here at Phoenix. Why did you win today, Marcus?
Because Alex and Linus messed up. that, that's why they were both faster than me, and I got a little bit lucky with the yellow flags there, especially at the end. Otherwise, Norbert would have got me because he had like 16 laps fresher tires than I had, and I would probably not make it to the end. So yeah, I got lucky.
How did you think that in the last 30 laps, Norbert were closing in a tenth by a lap, and then at the end he was closing 4/10, half a second a lap before the yellow flag came out? How did you feel?
I was praying for yellow, really, because there was no way I'm gonna hold him off. So I was just praying for yellow, and luckily it came. Luckily for me, not so lucky for the rest of the guys. But I'll take it any day in the week.
Anyway, in the week, and we had 2 green-white checkers. You did a great start in the restarts there in the ending, really pulling away from Norbert. Did you want any green-white checkers?
It really didn't matter because we were on the same tire strategy from there. So, and I knew I had the advantage of being the leader. I could go in different places and kind of caught him off guard. So, and then just keep the car on the road and I'll win. So at the end there, I didn't need the first one, but then after that I was quite confident.
Quite confident there. Next race will be Las Vegas. How do you feel about that, Marcus?
It's like a super speedway in these cars. A little more tricky to do the pit stops. That's kind of where I used to screw up. But it's a nice track. I like it. It's got 4 corners and a tri-oval, so yeah, I like it.
Fast track coming up in 2 weeks. Congratulations to the win, Marcus, for Force Esports Academy team. And
thank you so much.
Good luck at Las Vegas.
Thanks.
Eventful race here at Phoenix. Some stuff to take away before we end this broadcast, I'd say. Jonas Gunnarsson really was on top of my head in the beginning of the race. For the top 30 laps, he was running in 5th position. He had the pace, but I think he overran his tires a little bit. But who knows? In the future, he might be one of the challengers for the win in the European E-Racing League with that kind of pace. Alexander Arlsson advanced to a lead with about 4 seconds to the second place in the first stint before that incident with Eric Blixt causing a yellow and ended his opportunities to win, and probably also Eric Blixt's opportunities. Oisin Walsh, we followed him all through this race. Incident after incident, not really his day at all, but he didn't give up. He was fighting until the bitter end. Did a great job, I'd say. Even though he collected 22 incident points here at Phoenix. Lukomsky lost his virtual reality goggles, so he couldn't see anything, and he stopped on the outside in lap 62. Really turned the car to the right and stopped by the wall. I think that's how sportsmanship should be. Unfortunate for him, but he did it in the best way possible. A lot of respect there. And Kapal had a really good pace in until lap 145, where he probably blew a tire, and that's what Phoenix was all about today. Taking care of your tires, tire management, tire strategy. You heard it in the interviews with Selander, Leitner and Hagman today, who finished in the top 3. My name is Jonas Force, together with Alexander Bengtsson here at Eason, and with our amazing gang at Race Spot today. I hope you had enjoyed this broadcast from us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.